6. I'll stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, please silence your cell phones. Next on the clerk to issue oath of office to the chair.
I, Sally Howland, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the City Charter and Code of Ordinances of the City of Cedar Springs, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Downtown Development Authority Board member to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Miss Sally.
Roll call. Mayor Hall? Here. Bernie? Sam?
Here.
Todd?
Here.
Here.
Dave?
Present.
Sally?
Yes.
And I am here. Does anybody want to make a motion to excuse Bernie, or?
Did he call?
I don't know. I have not had a chance to check my voicemail today, so.
You don't know if he called to be
Correct.
excused?
I can check right now if you'd like.
Right. I'll make a motion to excuse Bernie.
Second.
Motion in a second.
Could I offer an amendment to that, if he were to call? I would accept it if he called.
No, it's not your motion.
I know, but I'm offering an amendment to the motion.
That's reasonable, except for the fact that the city clerk is going to be too busy to get to her phone.
Yeah, we don't know what I'm saying, if it's there.
Oh, okay, I get it.
I guess is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Well, first it'd be whether Rose wants to amend it,
Or whether I should withdraw it.
or leave it. There's 3 options, I guess.
Okay, well, I'll just stick with my first motion and go from there. He seconded it. So should we have discussion now?
I was just gonna say, any more discussion?
Well, Bernie's been with us for a long, long time, and I hope that he called or contacted us, but there's always that possibility that he got flooded with work, as with you guys. So that's where I stand.
It's nothing personal. If he called, and that's excuse it, totally fine. I missed the last one too, but I called. So.
Any other discussion?
What are we voting on?
We're voting on whether we're,
If the amendment's on the floor, or the offer to amendment was on the floor and seconded, we got to vote on that first, right?
she didn't take her amendment. She stuck to her original.
I know.
She.
In rules of order, if there's an amendment offered, though, we have to consider the amendment first, right? There's a second on that before we can.
The person that made the amendment, or made the motion, has to be the one to amend their motion. You can't amend somebody else's motion.
Right.
So if we're still considering the first question, all right, fine.
Correct. That's. What it is. If Rose wants to amend her motion, and Sam wants to amend his second, and we pick like this. She's sticking to her original, that's what we're voting.
Okay, so then it's a blanket excuse no matter what.
In this particular case, that's where we're headed.
And Bernie typically doesn't just no call, no show.
Again, it's not personal. It's what we've been doing since we've had problems with this. So if we're now changing that and we're going to start excusing people. So, anyway.
Mr. Ringler, if you would like, after this motion, you could make the motion to amend, which would then.
But once it's adopted, I can't amend it. I I'm just talking, that's why I was questioning the rules of order here, so once it's adopted, it can't be amended.
I can go check my email and voicemail.
So if the board would like to
That's it.
wait a few minutes, we'd be happy to do that.
That's fine.
No, it's good.
Be right back.
Sorry, I'm trying to waste time.
I understand your point, we do have to start that.
I thought we did that several meetings ago.
Well, we did, except for the fact that
Well, except for, that's what I
Mike
did.
and Rebecca had been too busy to check.
But that's what I was suggesting. Had he called in, then you would have been excused. If he didn't call in, then it would have been settled.
Oh, after.
Correct. That would be, it would be an unexcused absence. That was my only suggestion, but I know we discussed this several meetings
We
ago,
have.
but now it's except for, so that's, I'm trying to be as consistent, so.
Any of the board members have any idea we have one vacancy left on the board yet? Is there any person that we know of that can?
You want this one?
That must be why I was.
That's why you're here.
Today.
We would need just a letter saying they would like to be on the DDA for this coming Thursday.
Which is a council meeting.
Yep. And we'll appoint.
How often does this board meet?
I did not have anything from Bernie. Mike is checking his email. Whoops.
They only meet 4 times a year.
Okay.
Normally we meet quarterly, but we do have special meetings that occur if we have something to do.
Okay. I'll send it. Tom?
But you shaped the downtown growth.
Yeah. I'll send the letter.
Need a letter.
Good, great.
She signed it.
The clerk.
Well, that wasn't so hard, that was.
Ask for the clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Right, so Rebecca hasn't heard anything.
He's checking, Mike's checking.
Probably not 50.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Well, we may have a fill a vacancy. I believe we're also short one person on the planning commission.
I'm working on that.
I did not receive any notification.
Alrighty. On that note. You're ready for the vote? So,
If I second it already, can I name it? We'll vote on it.
Yes.
Or we can just vote no.
That's what I mean, I can vote no even though I second it. Okay. What was the
as
motion?
long as you don't say.
The motion right now is to
say
excuse.
Motion on the floor is to excuse Bernie from this meeting.
Gary?
Yes.
Bernie can't vote, Sam?
I guess I wouldn't want to excuse it, so it's a no.
Todd?
The rules say we have to simply text or call in, leave a message, email, whatever, so that'll be a no, and that's what we set up to your floor.
What's your vote, David?
I vote no.
Jim, no. Here's a no.
Yeah, it's easy to text, email, or call.
Rose?
Yes.
James? Sally?
No.
And I say no. Motion fails, but if there's an emergency, then they can always change the fate, like if some sort of emergency happened and he was unable to. Alright, public comments. Anybody from the public like to speak on behalf of themselves or?
You're excited, this has been our first public comment.
After we get up to the podium and say, I will take the vacant seat.
I just sent you a letter first.
I'll entertain a motion approval of the agenda.
I actually have one addition to the minutes regarding a city flag, or new business.
Alright, that'll be consent agenda.
This is not consent, this is agenda. I said minutes, I misspoke, I'm sorry, this is approval of agenda, correct?
Yes.
I would have one additional item under new business, so there would be 7B to discuss potential city flag.
Any other additions or subtractions? the agenda with the addition.
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Alright. Consent agenda. Motion to approve the minutes of the July 30th, 2018 meeting. Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
I'd second that.
Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Unfinished business, street signs revised. Let's do it.
So, we've taken all the comments that we received regarding street signs. We tried to narrow down what the design might look like. We've come up with what we think is a good sample. I don't know where it's gone off to. Hopefully everyone was able to take a look at it. And I believe we emailed it out. It's obviously a picture as part of your packet. And so I think what we propose is this would be the Main Street sign, which would go on top, up and down Main Street. And then the cross section, or cross street sign would be similar, except it wouldn't have the top portion, which says City of Cedar Springs, because it would be mounted underneath that sign. But otherwise it would be similar text, color, reflectivity, etc. So you have here an estimate for installation for the DPW, which includes the purchase of the sign, bracket, labor, equipment, etc. And then for 12 signs, which I didn't do the counting, but 12 signs from Muskegon North, which would be about $14.66 and 40 cents. Let's see here. This does not include the north, south, east, west sign at Cherry Street, which would be $267 extra. And I thought maybe the city council might want to approve that, but out of the city's budget. So, I guess the question for you is the board satisfied with this sign? If so, do they want to make a recommendation to the city council to adopt this and replace the street signs? And are they willing to commit $1,466.40 to do that?
I have one question on the labor per hour. We're really assuming it's going to take an hour to install each sign?
I think,
Doing all of it on.
I don't know exactly how we calculated that out. It might be, minimum charge would be 1 hour, because otherwise we have them counting 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Well, if they're doing 12 an hour, I was wondering, there may be a little bit of saving. So it'd be a maximum.
I anticipate, because we don't want to skimp and then, it costs more than that. But that would be not to exceed $14.66.
Will it be two-sided?
Yes.
So I would make a motion to recommend that we adopt these 12 signs at a cost not to exceed $14.66.
I'd second that.
Any more discussion?
Are the letters 4 inches tall?
I don't know.
Just, our new code says everyone has to have 4 inches, so.
Well, but that applies to buildings themselves, not the street signs.
Okay, that's just clarification.
Well, there's no numbers there.
No.
Pretty close.
I think that was.
It looks to me, I haven't had my ruler for, it looks to be 4.
Yeah. That looks
more.
great.
So they'll say North Main Street and South Main Street? and
Correct.
Cherry.
So it currently says on there, north end, and north of Cherry would say that, south of Cherry would say south.
You may know what a business card
A
is?
sheet of paper is 8.5 inches, so they're going to estimate that.
Looks like you're 3 and 36 minutes.
Mr. Chair, could you please clarify who the second was on that last one?
Rose.
Rose, thank you.
Yeah, there.
If that's more than half a sheet, then that's 4 inches.
Yeah, that's 4 inches.
I'm going to charge you all for my additional time for doing this.
Okay.
In 13 increments?
It's about 3 7/8 inches.
Oh, my God.
I rescind my motion. Construction to 8 inches an acceptable tolerance.
Yeah.
Now, there is actually an option to make the sign bigger than it currently is.
25 mile an hour.
So the current street signs are 24 inches wide, and I believe this sign is also 24 inches wide. There is an option to make it 36 inches wide. I believe the normal portion is 6 inches wide, and that's the current size of the street sign. There's an option to make it larger than that as well. But it would be disproportionate to do it along Main Street and then eventually replacing other street signs where you go smaller, same size, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the same size which is currently up.
There's plenty of room on there. The only long word we have would be mosquito. Very adequate.
I think the sign is bigger. I don't think council had an issue.
At 25 mile an hour, nobody's gonna see the.
Well, and so I think it would be appropriate to replace the signs on Main Street this year, and then moving forward, if this body wants to promote doing it elsewhere in the district, or encourage the city council to follow suit and start replacing signs in the rest of the city as well. But what I think is most important about the street sign is that eventually, I think it would be a good guide for maybe wayfinding signs or parking lot signs that could use that same kind of distinct look, so that when a citizen sees a sign, they realize, hey, it's the same as a street sign, it's probably a city sign.
The north, south, east, west, is that just a single directional coming off of Cherry?
Yeah, so I would recommend the city council, when we get to it, that it would be similar. It would just be a separate street sign that says north, south, east, west. That way, and of course it's obvious, but that way when somebody doesn't know, the directions for the streets, they can have that as a reference point.
And the reason for it being at Cherry, because that's the break with the numbers going up.
Will you have a sample of that by city council time, or?
For this Thursday meeting,
Well, anything that we could go by?
so for this city council meeting, in the city council packet, there is a place reserved for discussion about what occurs today at this meeting.
Okay,
So obviously, we're going to present this to the rest of the city council and whatnot. But moving forward with wayfinding signs, whatever, that will either come to this body for recommendation, or if it's something else like the north, south, east, west sign, it'd probably be a similar discussion item at city council. So the city council could see, well, this is what it'll look like, this is where we recommend you put it, and the cost would be $260 odd.
okay, so it will only just say east, it won't have any other east,
You
north, south?
would see a mock-up of what we're recommending.
Okay, good, thank you.
Directional. All right. Call for the vote. Jerry,
Yeah.
Sam,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I say yes as well. Motion carried. Parking lots. Second Maple parking lot and second Nash.
Let me catch up here for a second. I can't remember exactly what I put in your packet regarding those.
On page 10.
Okay, so page 10, you're going to see a drawing that was put together by the DPW director as a kind of a sketch plan of what we're thinking about for that parking lot at 2nd and Maple. It's, I hate to say it, but it's overly complicated, not the design, but the process, because we're trying to get it done as cheaply as possible. As you'll hear me say often, you can have it quickly, cheaply, or well done. Well, the city prefers to have things cheaply and well done, so sometimes it takes a lot of time. So this is what the plan is. We're trying to get it done as cheaply as possible. We've got a couple of local businesses that appear ready to help us out with some of the costs. So I'm currently in talks with the city engineer, because due to the ordinances that the planning commission planning commission and city council have approved, this requires a site plan. So there is a little bit of engineering that goes with this, and I'm hoping to have that done as quickly as possible, but it would have to be approved of by the planning commission before we're able to move forward on it. I will remind this body that I think at the previous meeting, you approved up to, I believe, $4,000 to be put towards a parking lot at that location. So we'll obviously take that into account when there is a total cost involved, and we'll try to make sure everybody kind of contributes fairly to that. But I do think it would be a good start. I'd like to see that become an asphalted parking lot at some point, but that costs $60,000 to $70,000 bucks. This would be a good starting point. Now, I don't anticipate this being remotely close to being done before Red Flannel Day. So I'm in discussions with the DPW department about potentially ribboning that off as a parking lot for Red Flannel Day so that the entire block could be used, which I think that might give this body an idea of how well it could be utilized as a parking lot on that day, assuming that it's not too rainy. So I guess I'm open for any discussions about the plan that's presented here or any questions about the process.
Thanks for doing that. I think that's a really good start, and obviously, I think it's a good idea even so to do it temporarily in case other properties nearby at some point become available to make a larger lot in the future. So I think this is absolutely adequate for right now.
I did remember a discussion we had, Rebecca, I can understand what you're trying to tell us as if we start to build this parking lot and we don't go completely by the ordinances. That in the past, as I've sat and watched, we waive parts of ordinances in order to develop a certain piece of property. Specifically, I can talk about sidewalks. So I don't feel any regret or that we're doing anything wrong by developing this parking lot with the starting and kind of waiving certain ordinances. I can certainly see having a plan, but until we have the money to actually build the parking lot to ordinance specs, I believe we could waive a few ordinances, but that's just my opinion.
And when you say we, you're referring to the city council?
Yes.
So, Ms. Powell, if I could just walk you through it briefly so you understand the process.
Yes.
So, I've been working with the planning commission to attempt to change the table of uses, which signifies where things can and can't go. About 6 months ago now, I suggested to them that they change it so that municipal parking lots were not inhibited by that table of uses, so that municipal parking lots could be placed anywhere. Unfortunately, they were unable or unwilling at that time to change it. So, as the ordinances are currently written, all municipal parking lots are special land uses. Special land uses have to be approved of at a meeting of the planning commission that gives the city clerk the option and the ability to send out special notices to anybody who lives within 300 feet of that piece of property. Then, all special land uses require a site plan. Under the city's ordinances, a site plan requires a certain amount of information. Well, that information is not something that I can come up with on my own. Something that requires a certain amount of engineering. So the city engineer has to get involved. We have to pay the city engineer. Now, of course, the city council can, if they want to, make a recommendation or an order that we proceed forward. We can order that the planning commission not review this. I'm not entirely sure that's the best course of action, but that's something that the city council can discuss. Of course, we want things to be done correctly and rightly, so that the water is not draining off into other properties, and then it doesn't fall apart, and what have you. And there's a reason we have these ordinances on the books to begin with. So there's also the fear that if we were to do what you're suggesting, that the city could be called a hypocrite for requiring other people to follow our ordinances while we were not. So I'll leave it at that. If council wants to discuss it on Thursday, they're certainly welcome to do so.
So we do have a plan to develop this, a preliminary plan to develop this parking lot, right?
Yeah, it's something we're working on, but it's obviously fairly complicated if we want to get it done cheaply and quickly
Yes.
and well done
Yes.
all at the same time.
And in steps.
Right.
Increments. Okay.
So the second thing I put down there was the second in the Ash parking lot. This is the one behind I think it's called DJ Nails over there. I understand that that the city council put aside some money to de-asphalt that over. And as one of the more frequently used parking lots in the city. So I don't think I had anything specifically for you to act upon, but I wanted to make sure that you were informed about what was going on at that parking lot. That we anticipate in the spring, the city council has approved the DPW to see about getting that done at whatever cost it might cost. And then also with the street sign that's being approved, potentially by city council, that we would then have parking lot signs that we could put up there so people would know that's a municipal parking lot, free for anybody to use, and not just the businesses that are located there. So I'm open to any thoughts or suggestions about that.
I think it's a great idea. The parking lot's getting pretty beat up.
There are some private parking spaces in the back of that parking lot up against the apartment building and the nails. Would those also be paved?
Well, the city only pays over the property we own. And so obviously when that's done, we'd have to make sure that we stick to the area that we own. Now, the alleyway behind, trying to remember, this way, between here and the post office, the city owns about 3/4 of that. Now, there is a section where we do not own. So what we did was we painted the lines on the property that we do own, and then we talked to the business owners to offer potentially painting lines on their property as well, because we were out doing it. And several of them said, no, we're not interested in that, and that's fine. So we didn't. Now, if for some reason they've got private parking on a city parking lot, we'd have to discuss whether that was legal and whether we want to continue to allow them to do that. And something we could potentially do is change the color of the lines from white to yellow or something like that to signify a private parking spot. But, you know, as far as I know, we're just going to do what the city owns.
It's one of them lots that not a lot of people realize it's a city lot.
Yeah.
It would be good when they use a sign that's a little bit bigger than your phone that says parking pointing to it.
Sure.
At some point, start changing that out to a little bit bigger sign so it's easier to see.
Well, and one that looks like a city sign.
Yes.
So have you talked to the businesses over there and see how they feel about having their part of that parking lot?
Well, and I don't know if they actually own any of that parking lot.
Oh,
This is just preliminary,
okay.
haven't really discussed it much at all.
All right.
If and when we were to get to a point where we were actually going to do it,
Mhm.
and clearly we know where the lines were.
Mhm.
Any other questions on that one? If not, item C.
So we had discussed wayfinding signs previously.
Actually, I met BC, I met, Mr. Engler asked for,
Oh, that's on our new business. 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 7.
oh, I put it in, but,
Can I continue with wayfinding?
yeah, go ahead.
So, at the last meeting, Ms. Howland indicated that she had some possible examples. Unfortunately, I didn't get that onto the agenda. I do have them, I guess, privately, but I'm not sure it made it onto your packet. They were nice looking signs, and certainly we can discuss those in the future moving forward. And thank you, Ms. Howland, for bringing that to us.
Sorry, I thought I'd set them up before, and I didn't know it until Mary says, you didn't set them. I said,
But,
sorry.
it's no big deal at this point, because I think the first step is to kind of develop what we want the sign to look like, and I think similar colors and similar shape of what the street sign is a good way of leading towards what the wayfinding signs will look like. So, this is a working body. If you guys have other recommendations about what you think it should look like, great, please provide them, and we can have a more generalized discussion about that in the future. But something I did want to add is street sign at the staging area. So, of course, this is a discussion I've had with the Chamber of Commerce as well. We always want to try to get people at the trailhead, off the trailhead, and into the downtown. Now, something I'm working with the Chamber on is putting a map at the water fountain to encourage encourage people to come into downtown and explore the businesses. Something I thought might work at the staging area is also to put a street sign along Maple Street. So the way the right-of-way lines work, I think we could put a street sign where the White Pine Trail meets with Maple Street. Now, it's only one street there, it's only Maple Street. But what I thought we might want to do is put a lesser sign underneath it pointing towards the downtown, saying something like downtown or business district or something pointing this way. So I'm looking for response or suggestions or recommendations regarding that.
Mr. Mayor, is that old pole still there from the old sign? I don't think it was, at least before the construction stuff went through.
I don't think there is a sign there. No.
I mean, just a pole, it was.
I don't think there's a pole there. And of course, we could install a pole, that's no big deal.
And I know we've had this discussion a couple of times. Is it the DNR that restricts wayfaring signs on the trail?
Correct.
And there are some signs in Rockford that are supposedly going to be taken down?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, but that have never been taken down.
Correct.
Um,
But the city does have a right-of-way for streets. So,
which is a great idea. I know I'm going to be on a panel in 2 weeks for the West Michigan Trails and Greenways annual meeting at South Frederick Meyer. But this was one of the topics in a preliminary discussion that had been brought up. I know the DNR people will be there, but I know for the larger authority that's out there, the trails folks that are out of Indianapolis that are here, they have some thoughts on trying to create a system of wayfaring signs.
sure, and we've been waiting to hear from them for over a year.
Okay.
And of course,
Well, that's kind of the reason I'm asking. We can talk after the meeting if
Sure.
we want on this, but
So-
anything that I can do to help grease the skids would be.
So the initial discussion with the chamber was they wanted to put up a huge 3-sided sign, cost thousands.
That's what picked up, didn't it?
Yes, we-
Thousands of dollars. The problem was, the city does not have the authority to allow that on the west side of the parking lot, because that's owned by the DNR. We have ownership of the property on the right side where the bathroom is, but the chamber apparently did not want to put the sign there. Okay, fine, whatever, I don't care. But the city's trying all these kind of micro ways to convince people that they're in a city and that they should check it out. One of which is spray painting on the sidewalk, welcome to Cedar Springs, and the sign, the map next to the drinking fountain. I just thought this might be a nice way to say, hey, you're in the city, the business district's that way. But I'm looking for recommendations of what word or phrase do we use to encourage people. Do we put downtown with an arrow? Do we put business district this way? Do we put come get your brewery snacks on at this one particular place? I mean,
Because this business district is good. Would we also have the ability to put, now entering Cedar Springs on either end as well, other than just on Maple Street?
yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to. I guess we'd have to go down and look at those particular locations. Now, we did put, spray paint on sidewalks and welcome to Cedar Springs. So that's been happening. Now, if you want to look into a street sign as well, that's a possibility. It would cost some money, of course. So I guess next time you guys are out and about, especially on the north and south ends of the trail, if you could identify a place that you think a street sign would be appropriate, I'm happy to look into that as well. But just for the time being, I was talking about one street sign at the White Pine Trail in Maple.
So, Mike, on the east side, and my understanding has always been that staging area is split right down the middle. Half is DNR and half is city,
Kind of, yeah.
pretty much. So we could, if we decide to put a street sign on our side of that street, on the east side of the staging area near Maple Street, we can do that without going through the DNR.
I was actually thinking pretty much along the White Pine Trail,
Can we do
The
that?
street sign.
as long as it's on Maple.
Right, then we can do that.
Correct. That's what I'm willing to test.
Uh-oh.
Well,
But
I think
otherwise,
that's a good idea.
Give us later day.
but if we put it on our property, we don't have to test it, it's ours.
Well,
Visibility the switch you gave it us.
Yeah, it's always a test,
Uh,
whether they're concerned enough to test it.
okay.
But just trying to get recommendations of what you guys think the
I'd love
best.
to see that down.
So you'd be talking about a 3-tier, so it's a business district, White Pine Trail, Maple Street.
Something like that. Maybe, Sand Lake 5 miles that way, Rockford 10 miles that way. If you haven't come up with an idea, we'd bring recommendations and then this board would be willing to pay for it.
Maybe something similar to that staging area out there by Russell Road. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have one right in our town too.
You know, we've been talking about this for 5, 6 years, whatever it is, versus,
So maybe present, give me the option to put some things together for you. You can take a look at your next meeting and let me know if you like it or not. So work for everybody?
That'd be great.
yeah.
I would, if we can include, as I said, Cedar Springs city limits at the city limits on the north and south end too, I think would also be.
Yeah, the only problem with that is the city limits actually start out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing there.
Which is fine, but if it's illegal, we have the right of the city type thing, if we're making tests.
Sure, but I think what I've heard feedback-wise from the Chamber of Commerce is they don't care if people know they're entering the city next to a giant factory in the wastewater treatment plant. They're more concerned about when you're entering the downtown area, which is Muskegon Road. So at Muskegon, I understand that there is spray painted on the sidewalk, "Welcome to Cedar Springs."
Be the problem too, that railroad right away is 100 feet. When you get them so far off, they'll miss them, but if we ask for forgiveness up on Maple Street.
But there might be a place where the wastewater treatment plant is to say West Street, "Welcome to Cedar Springs," something to that effect.
Back before, Mr. Womack, before the city manager interim was here, when Dad was here, we was looking at doing the wayfaring signs. We'd done the whole proposal, looking at putting one when you first come in off the White Pine Trail there by 18 mile, "Welcome to Cedar Springs," and when you come in, when you cross the 17 mile, "Welcome to Cedar Springs." And not everybody thought that was ideal.
Well, I think as a trail user, I know in riding, it is helpful to know that you're getting close to an area. And whether somebody gets off at Maple Street or they get off the trail at Muskegon Street or 18 Mile, I still think the point is that we're getting them off the trail. So if we have a chance to hit them a couple of times, I don't see a negative with that. And if we can use the justification that these are directional signs. So that was my only.
Sure, I will look into that and I'll see about a possible location for that as well.
Absolutely, I think that wayfaring sign too, we ought to run that up the flagpole again.
But we will, but I think the point was we wanted to develop a signature, what is it gonna look like? Because I think it's ingrained in people's minds that when they see a street sign with a particular design, and then they see another sign with the same colors, same shape, they're gonna recognize it's a municipal sign, and they're gonna take it for what it is. So, I'm happy that this was approved, and I think at your next meeting we'll have some good examples of a potential wayfinding sign system.
Yeah, if at some point, if we can't do a wayfaring sign because of property or whatever, when we're coming off the trail from the north, if we could work with Casey Combs, that would be a great spot. If there's a way of putting a wayfaring sign there, because there's a lot of people, when they come north, they get off the trail at the ice cream shop and they head back north.
Okay.
There's a lot of, I ain't saying everybody, but there is still a good number of people that think there's nothing in Cedar Springs, so why go in? They just breeze on through or they turn around at the north. Anything else on wayfaring signs? Or wayfinding? Did you get the directions you needed, or?
For the time being.
Okay, item G, bicycle racks.
Yeah, so,
I've had it on order forever. Amazon just sent me a notification saying this item may no longer be currently unavailable.
how nice of Amazon.
I wonder, I've got to go back and see if they billed me $700 for it, but never never showed up in Albertson. I don't know if it's a seasonal thing, and we have to wait till spring or what, but I'll try to contact Leisure Craft.
See if they have any of them that are shorter.
Instead of, well, this is only, 5 by, we can go smaller than that.
Right.
Like a 3 foot.
Well, I'm just thinking, are we looking at, if the sidewalk is going this way, are we looking at going this way, or are we looking at going this way?
Well, this would be parallel with the road, and then the bikes are perpendicular to it.
The bikes are going down to the
The
sidewalk.
bikes are shorter than the sign.
But it's also a very important question of where are you thinking about doing this? I think that some of the discussion was Morley Park and Grable Park, but do we need bike racks up and down Main Street?
Yes.
And if so, where?
I would think the middle of every block would actually be nice.
I would agree with that.
I would promote bicycling. I mean, people, we have a bike trail coming through here. And I see people in jerseys every, what is it, Wednesday, Tuesday and
We
Wednesday
get
night.
them every single day.
So right now, they're tying up to the poles,
Right, 365, we get it every single
and
day.
some of them just laying on the ground.
We only need 8 of them. If you go 2 every block.
Yeah, I don't think two every block would be an overkill.
Especially as Todd suggests, if they're parallel to the street, they look nice, it gives an organic look. If they're powder coated red, it's an organic look downtown, it's consistent, and it's bike friendly. They can stop and get tea, they can stop and get ice cream, they can stop and get their nails done.
My insurance, close on a house.
And I think if we put them by where
On your bicycle.
the parking lines are, it may actually encourage people to park where they should.
Right.
Because they won't be hitting their doors if they park in the right spots.
That's one idea.
Help the DPW investigate mid-block locations for parallel placement of a 3 to 5, do we have a width on those? I think we've got the width on the 5, but
This is telling me,
we'll have to investigate the width then.
let me get the, what I've got to do is find out when they become available again and why they stopped. Hang on 1 second. So this says 69 and a half inches long.
Now, is this something that this board is going to be willing to pay for? So if I'm doing the math right, 8 times how much? $700?
Well, that's what this one was, but,
There's other options.
we can find them other places.
Well, but I think we want some uniformity, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you put them near some of the businesses that want them, they may be willing to pay for them, at least pay for half of them.
So does this board want to approach businesses for paying for them?
Rose actually took a letter around the one time,
Oh, benches,
benches. Was it bike rack on there too, or just benches?
just benches.
Well,
3 benches.
You may be able to talk about
We're looking at
it.
We're looking at 5 to 6 grand. This is what a DDA is for.
What'd you say?
They didn't want 3 benches, people didn't want benches.
Oh, I just said stuff like this, when it's gonna be uniform up and down, and they're gonna be there, this is one of the things the DDA is for.
Exactly.
but at $700 times 8, you're looking at about $5,500 for bike racks.
And the one I brought down here a couple weeks ago, was it down in the back room?
Yep.
I think that one was only like $200, but you can find them as low as $160. The only thing is, we have to contact the company direct and have them
Yep.
powder coated to match our.
Actually, let me go grab it real quick.
For starting out, we can go down there. Mine, the one I bought was they just get, just can move them a lot, and people can steal them. So they're just sitting there. Where these are, this one is wrong right here. But the one that I hoped to have, the one that Amazon just told me I'm not getting, is a pole mount where you bore, you just hammer drill into the ground, you drop the concrete in, you set it in, level it out, and walk away. This will bolt together. Now, Magnum powder coating said that they would try to powder coat over top of this, and we can check it for durability. We can bang into it with hammers, maybe put it out in front of the brewery for a while, and see how it holds up with use.
Sound like they're
Stay
that
up
crowd down there.
all winter?
Yeah, you just leave them out all winter. That's the nice thing about,
Bikers come all year round.
Yeah.
I say every day, I mean every
I've
day.
seen that.
in the wintertime, they're riding these fat tires now.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, and they all
Yep.
go for a year on Saturdays.
Them pool ones, you or David had one time presented one, when we found out there was basically a pole that set in.
Yeah, that's what this one
The big
here
one,
is.
yeah.
And
So this one, or the one that was unavailable, right there, that's just, you just hammer drill, or you take a concrete bore drill, bore in 2 holes, put some wet hydraulic concrete in, drop it, level it.
Now, you're talking about the ring ones, that right? That was a pole and a ring on
The
it.
hole in that one.
Yeah, there was a post, and that would be,
2 months worth.
yeah. Which, may be enough really to have, if you're gonna spread
For
them all
certain
around the
sections
field.
of town, yeah.
Those might be a good option for the mid-block, so you don't have a huge thing like this every mid-block.
just for public clarification, can you send some of them to the clerk, just in case we ever get it for you?
Yeah, I can, do that.
Now, I think this one was donated to City Hall, correct? And this will be installed out here in front of City Hall.
And if you want, I can bring it down to Magnum and try to get it patched to that color, and we'll see how well it holds up.
I guess I don't personally care, but, this is something that you guys are going to have to reflect upon being visible as part of the city. But we'd be happy to install it out in front of City Hall, and then, the brewery's got lots of parking up there. It's a private business, I don't know if you guys want to put more parking up there, but now you've kind of got both sides of the city. And you could put some mid-block ones, which would probably be cheaper, but they'd only be two bikes each, the pole and the round thing on top. So,
1, 2, 3.
are there other places you'd want to put your bike rack?
Sides too, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
If we
6,
put
7,
them
8.
where there's trees, which trees is gonna interfere with people opening doors anyway, so it's put them on the sidewalk side of the tree versus the street side of the tree.
Well-
And then you're not heating up more of the brick area.
I'll let the DPW decide what's the best place to put them.
Yeah, I'm just giving a suggestion.
Sure.
That's little letters.
But if we do go with the black, you'll match the benches.
And if we do it black, it's cheap, because they're only $160 a piece. So we could do all of them in the whole city for $1,000 or less.
I would say that's worth it to go red.
Yeah.
It matches the signs, it matches the city's identity.
Yeah, you're just a red hog.
I just It's true though, I mean,
Little better, much better.
You know how to spell that?
Yeah, I think on these here, if we go with the flange mount, because of, salt during the winter months, how long are these gonna last? So it would be easier to change out than the ones that are cemented in. Plus, snow removal, if they get damaged, they're gonna be easier to remove and replace than the cemented one. And basically corrosion with the salt, they're probably only good for 4 or 5 years.
Now,
If we
one,
stay with these,
we could also sleeve these, so you could put like a galvanized tube in, and then you just drop them in, gravity holds them, so in the wintertime, you could even pick them up, you could change them real easy.
that's a good point too.
If you just simply sleeve it, then you're flush to the concrete.
One thing we do have to remember about leaving them all winter when the, city person that comes to do the scraping along the sidewalk, is they're gonna have more to go around.
Yeah.
could be parallel help.
Yeah, it's only an inch, but just a little offset, right?
That's where we're looking by the trees, where they've already got a tree or pole tree there.
I think it's a good idea to go, with the red or the black, would either go with a flange mount, those could be just a matter of removing the bolts and plucking it up.
So I guess what the city needs direction-wise is whether you want to make them red or black, whether you want to go with all this type, or if you want to go with this type here at City Hall, and then have the mid-block ones be the pole with the round bit, which is smaller and a little bit easier to place. And whether there are other locations that you want to place these besides mid-block and City Hall. Do you think that the area by the brewery needs additional bike racks?
Brewery and the library both.
I know our animals could use more on both sides. I could probably get away with the pole one versus that many, but
I think if, even if we have the pole, we could do is put a couple of larger ones in on the areas that we anticipate being
I don't know.
high volume, and and put the mid ones in. If they're all painted the same, it's gonna be consistent. I don't think they have to necessarily be the same shape to lend themselves to consistency if they have that powder coating.
Do you have any recommendation of higher use areas that you think would need a larger bike rack?
I'm thinking about if the gun is developed into the new restaurant up in that area, and the theater in that area, we might get a lot more.
But these LA cards have bikes laying on the ground. Quite a lot.
Brewery, library, theater, and new restaurant, and city hall area, I would suggest are perhaps 3 high volume areas that may need the larger ones.
And then if we find an area that is high volume, it can only be swapped out for a larger.
And then maybe supplement that with another
Absolutely.
6 or 8 of the littler ones that can be sprinkled around.
Does the ice cream place have bike racks, or would they be wanting them? I would think there'd be bikes down there all the time.
I don't think they do. I know Classic College has one down there. I want to think the ice cream shop has one. They have people all the time coming off the trail there.
It'd be something we should look at, make sure that.
So I just asked a question, if we could get this powder coated in red directly from the manufacturer, on the contact stuff on Amazon, so we'll hear back. If that's the case, we can just order some of these and put them in.
Okay. So it sounds like some,
$100 versus the second.
Yeah.
so it sounds like we need some more information.
Well, we should, it says we'll hear back within 2 days.
So I think maybe,
So I should order 8 of them, you said?
well, no, let's do this. How about the city take a look at these locations, see if we can fit this style or the pole ones. We'll come back with a recommendation to put a specific one at a specific location, and then this body can approve it. Now, Mr. Brazinger, if you don't mind, could you tamp down a color and a cost for each style that you're proposing?
I'll look at both options.
And work with the DPW director to make sure that what you're proposing is okay by him. And then bring that back to me, and we'll make it part of the packet for the next meeting.
Okay, and I'll try to get, if they can get me a red one, I'll get one on order.
And I would say check the little mini mall there on Muskegon and Maine, they might want
2 of them over
a
there.
couple of them. I don't know if they have any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the restaurant.
I think there's somebody Main Street in there. I only got that fenced in cheating.
Name sold that last one.
You got all the directions you need on the bike racks?
They're just good.
Timing.
I haven't been there since she sold it.
Alright. On item 8, portable flower boxes.
So I stepped away from this for a second, and looks like we got a whole bunch more information. In your packet, starting at page 11, there appear to be a whole bunch of new options. Let's see, most of them look like they're from Amazon. So, I guess this body needs to discuss their options, discuss what they'd like to see done, and how many they'd like to get, if they still want to put money towards that.
I was in Richmond, Virginia 2 weeks ago, and Roanoke, Virginia, and there were several of these, of the water tanks from Farm and Home or County Line, Country Line. And they had put just stickers on, they put a Velcro on the back and printed different signage and stuck them to the tanks. And they were, they were very attractive.
I anticipate the city would do the same, try to take off whatever sticker, county line sticker might be on there, and get our own vinyl stickers with the city's logo, and place them on there so that people know who they belong to.
They were the round ones, and then they were the elliptical type.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna mention that if this body buys them, I'm sure we could make sure that the DDA is credited for them as well.
So here they are in front of Harmony Hall on Bridge Street.
The middle one's like the one you got, right?
I think the outside ones are, the middle one's a little smaller.
I looked inside them and they had built a little platform of plywood in there to set the flowers and stuff on, to get the stuff up.
They're just nice and inexpensive.
Pretty simple and straightforward.
All the snow plows, wrong way. I can't imagine I spent more than $60 for this. It's been a while since I bought it.
Counting on here, 55, right? 23 gallon.
So what's the
Yeah,
process?
this is a
This is
75.
72.
Yeah.
That's more substantial. Look at this is durable.
That's the one you
Now
got
that
back
round
in
that
this,
you're looking at there, and that roll, if you're gonna go let it go behind my shop, I was thinking about actually drilling holes in it to get the water out of it, clean it up,
You
put it
should.
in front of the building so you guys can look at it in front of our building with nothing in it. Maybe throw some straw bales in it to make it look nice and corn stalks, and just see what your thoughts are on it.
Make sure you have the right permit for that.
I would just come down and fill out a little sign, a drawing showing the skeleton in it and everything.
Yeah, it's mostly that you have to have, if it's in city sidewalk, you have to get insurance, name that's additionally insured.
I'll come down with, I've got to do a sign permit too tomorrow, I've got to sketch it all out, because I don't want to get it, build up there.
So I guess the question is there anything in here that strikes everybody's fancy? And do they want to commit money to it? And if so, how much and how many do you want to purchase?
I don't keep in mind, so it's just a real ones.
You know, there should be something done with them, that was thousands of dollars. Well, one of the problems with is when they first put them out, they didn't drill drain holes in them, and they were just a mess.
Well,
So, and then when they took them down.
What are those? Are
With
they
this,
like
this
this?
floor plans that we have, they have the same designs with the trash can.
Mr. Ringler, they look just like the trash cans that are on Main
So
Street.
they have like the stone,
Yeah.
looking at that thing.
My point is if we're gonna have people decorate in a way, we're gonna change what to look like.
I think part of the reason that this is discussion, and it's going to be a discussion with the city council as well, this stuff was bought in the 80s. It looks like it was bought in the 80s. Styles change, and of course, those ones are incredibly heavy. They're hard to manage. So I think, you know, updating it, even if you're updating it to something that's a little bit country chic, it just adds a certain modernity to it.
Could those potentially be sold?
I don't see why not. The city would have to follow a policy of offering it at public auction or something.
Yeah, because they were bought by grants.
Could they be utilized in the parks?
I-
Library, veterans.
Yes, I don't see why not. The problem is the city doesn't have the funding to really put flowers into them and maintain them. The point was, and I think I sent this out in an email, the hope is that this body can work with the chamber to do kind of other decorations. So right now, the city is trying to work with businesses to do the flower boxes that we have permanently in the ground. And thankfully, we've had a number of businesses who've stepped up and done that. It's great, we appreciate that. But, you know, by having this as an option through the DDA, you can now promote more, types of events. So let's say the trick-or-treating in downtown. The Sparta Chamber of Commerce, or the DDA, I don't know which one, they allow decoration of their cauldrons, is what they call it. Each business, each group, whatever, gets to decorate it in a certain way. It's fun for the people to come look at, and then on trick-or-treating day, you could have people voting for the best one, give an award. It's kind of just a community event. Same thing for Christmas. There's no reason you can't have people decorate these for Christmas. You have a little buy-in, $10, $20, whatever, to do it, and then that money goes towards whatever. So it's just an option. I don't necessarily think these will be used for flower pots in the near future, but it does present an option that the DDA, if they think it's a good idea, to go forward with.
I think it's a good idea if we know if that block or those businesses are gonna take care of them, because look what we got now. You know, you get those out there and the flowers are dead and it's full of weeds and it looks like crap.
I personally don't think we should spend a lot of time worrying about that. I think we should worry about things like this. My mind are more important. That's just my opinion.
And that's fine. So if nobody wants to move forward on it, you don't have to move forward on it.
So I would kind of echo the same thing, if we have these other things that are sitting out there and aren't being used as it is, that, I don't know if we're just welcoming another boondoggle here of something that's gotta be maintained or stored or isn't being used. At this point, if there's nobody really motivated to get behind it. And maybe the chamber will, I don't know, but
Well, when we had it mentioned in the chamber last